These various examples of Swiss precision manufacture tend to pass unnoticed in our day-to-day lives. And it's a similar story with Switzerland's products in the plumbing world. You find them everywhere you go, and even in places you won't expect. I'll come back to that later, but first I would like to present you my organization. Suissetec, or to give us our full name, the Swiss and Liechtenstein Association of Technical Building Contractors, is an umbrella industry and employers association for various building technology professions. Metal roofing, heating, air conditioning, ventilation, cooling and plumbing, which of course is of particular interest to us here today. Suissetec represents every step of the value chain here, from the planners to the installers, to the distributors and the manufacturers. And our manufacturer members in particular include some well-known international names such as Geberit, Franke and Georg Fischer. If you look at the turnover of the Swiss building technology sector, I can also show you just how important Suissetec's members are to the planning and installation segments. Suissetec has around 3,500 member companies who employ 32,500 people in our professions. In fact, over 80% of all the building technology specialists in Switzerland work for a Suissetec member company. Our member companies also generate a total annual turnover of 6.2 billion Swiss francs. I checked the exchange rate today. Today it's exactly $1 to 1 franc, a par, so it's the same in US dollars. That's 70% of the national industry total of $8.9 billion, so 6.2 billion by our members. And if you look at the apprenticeship segment, Suissetec's vital role is even clearer. Of the national total of some 6,600 apprentices, 5,600 of them, 85%, are training at Suissetec companies. And the other 1,000 also spend 36 days of their apprenticeship attending one of the 15 training centers that Suissetec also runs. Switzerland has a long tradition of devising, developing and manufacturing products for the plumbing segment, be it to supply drinking water, to enhance water efficiency, or to provide sanitation facilities. In fact, one of the main reasons many of our plumbing installations have disappeared from view in the last 50 years and hidden themselves away behind walls comes from Switzerland too. The pre-wall system, which was originally developed by the Geberit company, revolutionized the installation segment and is now the global standard. What is particularly surprising is that, like our watches, the plumbing products of Switzerland will be found in many places where you really wouldn't expect to see them. Our country has hardly any skyscrapers, and being landlocked, we don't have much of a seafaring tradition. But look where you'll find Swiss plumbing doing its work. The plumbing systems in Burj Khalifa in Dubai, the tallest building in the world, and on the Oasis of the Seas, which is currently the world's second biggest passenger ship, are both by Georg Fischer of Switzerland. Also, the solution for hassle-free drainage in high-rise buildings has been invented in a country with hardly any high rises. The scientific work of Bern University in 1956 has resulted in the Sovens system by Geberit. Swiss plumbing systems products are at the head of their field in design terms too. As you can see here, the faucets and sink are from KWC. Smaller Swiss manufacturers are happy to show off their innovation credentials too. Here's just one example, a new valve technology from Nussbaum of Switzerland. And when it comes to pre-insulated piping systems, Georg Fischer now offers a surprisingly simple and easy to install insulating products. Needless to say that all Swiss plumbing products meet not just our national requirements, but most international norms too. They have to. Our Swiss domestic market of just 8.5 million consumers would simply be too small. And this brings me to the fundamental question that I would like to address in my presentation to you today. How do we ensure that safe and compliant products ultimately get installed? In Switzerland, the domestic plumbing sector is regulated by national laws and standards. First off, we have our Federal Foodstuffs Act, which classifies drinking water, not only cold water, but also hot water, as food. Which means that when water is being produced, distributed and delivered in Switzerland, all these processes have to meet all the standards that would apply in the production of any other foodstuff. The regulatory framework is set by the Swiss Gas and Water Association in close cooperation with Suissetec and the manufacturers. And the standards that are applied here are being steadily more closely aligned to those that apply within the European Union, although Switzerland, of course, is not a member of the European Union. At the same time, Switzerland is taking over more and more of the EU standards and norms. This means that the product which has been approved in one of the EU's 28 member states will also be generally accepted in Switzerland. There are a few exceptions here. One, for instance, is that the maximum amount lead content in piping systems is lower in Switzerland than it is in the European Union. As far as their scope is concerned, the standards that are valid in Switzerland apply to all plumbing systems in terms of both water provision and supply and the waste water disposal, its hygiene, the energy required, and the system's sustainability credentials. The Swiss Gas and Water Association also issues a plumbing code in collaboration with Suissetec and the industry's manufacturers and suppliers. The code is mandatory and is regularly reappraised by the country's various municipalities. Among other things, the code requires the municipalities to approve any plumbing installation before work on installing it begins. And it also requires the municipality to inspect and approve the installation again in its final installed form. And one last point, when it comes to the enforcement, the plumbing standards that apply in Switzerland are valid for the point of installation and not for the point of sale. So, if a certain product, as installed, does not conform to the law or the relevant guidelines, the installation cannot be approved. Ultimately, it's the owner of the building who is liable in Switzerland. But if they have any problems, they will, of course, have recourse to the installing party. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that's given you some idea of Suissetec and the Swiss plumbing sector. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, I'll be pleased to answer them.
Questions? Tom?
Yes.
Hans, I seen you had the Sovent system as one of the Swiss inventions. Sovent system here in the States is widely popular in the hotel industry. Not something that's a particularly favorable product of the installers because it eliminated the venting system. My question to you is, in Switzerland, whenever the installers install the Sovent system, is the engineer responsible for the proper installation and the functioning of the Sovent system like it is here in the States?
The engineer is only responsible for the planning. The installation is, of course, the installer who takes full responsibility. But, of course, if he doesn't execute according to the planners, to the engineers' planning, then, of course, it remains with the installer.
If the installer installs it according to the drawings and specs, then it's to the engineering?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Same here. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Maggie, I saw your hand up.
Thank you. Maggie Carroll from UL.
Okay.
My question, you indicated that the plumbing code is issued by the Swiss Gas and Water Association, and you said it's regularly reapproved. And I was wondering if you could explain a little bit more about that. Is it on a cycle, or is it when a certain amount of changes are built up? Or
Yes, the cycle is about 3 years. And then, of course, we review everything. We bring in, of course, new findings, new products. And so that's basically the cycle, 3 years.
okay.
PSA?
Yeah, I'm Narayan. Hence, I just have one question. Is there any limitation on the height for the Sovent system? I'm coming back to the Sovent system.
Yeah.
Is there any height restrictions to install the Sovent system? For example, is it limited to some number of floors, or right up to what height or how many floors we can install this system?
As far as I know, there's no real limit. But normally, for example, in the Burj Khalifa, it's done in stages, I think over 200 meters, and then there is an intermediate system in between.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? Excellent. Well,